In the past few weeks, you've been exploring the bigger picture about how an e-portfolio can be a tool to encourage you to help find your voice, to share ideas, share information, to help you organize your ideas, to help you to reflect, go deeper into your learning and understanding. And you've taken a look at, why an e-portfolio can do these things, and why should you use an e-portfolio, and why should your students use an e-portfolio, or your learners, right? You've looked at these things. This week, we're going a little bit deeper, and we're taking a look at the ownership of the e-portfolio and who owns it. And really, you do. It's your e-portfolio. And in order for an e-portfolio to work, you have to own it. The research that Dr. Thibodeau and I have been doing has shown over the last several years that ownership and a meaningful purpose for an e-portfolio are two of the most significant factors that will encourage the continued use of the e-portfolio after a program of study. If you don't own it, you're not going to use it. If it isn't for you, if it isn't meaningful, if it isn't purposeful, if it doesn't help you, it is not going to be something you're going to continue doing. So we want you to take ownership of your e-portfolio. It's very, very important. And when you do take ownership of your e-portfolio, you're going to uncover a few things. You're going to take a look at, well, what is really involved? Well, if you own the e-portfolio, well, how do you build it? How do you structure it? What are your options in terms of using it? How do you actually make those meaningful connections? So, we've pointed you to getting started tips. We've pointed you to several articles. We've got some reading that we wanted you to do to think about these ideas. We talked about how creating a significant learning environment comes into play within the DLL program as well. And then, dealing with the issues of your own domain, dealing with the issues of what you need to give your students, all these issues, and then the notion of that whole cyber infrastructure, right? The net presence, all these issues are extremely important. But on a practical note, what does that really mean for you? What does that mean? How do you start to own it? How do you start to really make a difference with it? Well, this is where we take a look at the e-portfolio. And since I've been using the e-portfolio for a long time, I'm going to point to what I do with my e-portfolio and share some things that are unique to what I do and how I've made my e-portfolio my own. So when you make your e-portfolio your own, everything from the title to your about page and how it's organized is dependent upon you. It's yours. Right? As an academic, as an educator, I focus on learning. I focus on the CSLE plus Clover framework. I focus on the DLL program that I'm currently working with. And I focus on a lot of projects and talk about a variety of other things, right? And on my site, you'll see that I've got a navigation structure that allows my user to be able to dig down deeper into the things that I work on and the things that I want to share with them. So you have been my user, you've been my audience, and you've been on my site. So when you take a look at the DLL program, chances are some of you have seen this DLL program map page. Right? I pointed you to this program map page where you've seen the house, some people refer to it as a rocket ship, but it's a house where you take a look at the foundation for the program, and you've got links to 3-column tables, you've got links to assignments, you've got links to a lot of different things. So all this information I've made available to you. You're my audience. So even though this is my website, this is my e-portfolio, I'm always thinking about who's going to use it. I'm always thinking about how do people come back to this on a regular basis? How can they continue to how can I continue to make it easy for people to find things? That's why one of the most prominent things I have on my website is a search engine. I also have categories, so you can take a look at a lot of different categories and you can find information that way. I have archives, so depending on how you're looking at stuff. And then I point to highlights and books and all these different things. So I take advantage, and I've controlled all these aspects of my site. And it's really important that you take a look at structuring that information. So I also have tried to reduce the overwhelming number of links. In my About page, I've got contact, I've got speaking, but if you go into the About page, you'll see a little bit more. In the Learning section, well, this is my learning philosophy, which you probably are going to develop further on in the DLL program. And you can take a look at courses I've been teaching, the inquisitivism development I've done, all the different things I've done over the years are all available through this particular navigation structure. So one of the things that we ask you to do is to build a navigation structure and organize your information so it makes it easy for people to find stuff. So I've got a search engine, I've got navigation, right? What does that look like from the back end? Well, on my website, on the back end, I'm just going to move this over a little bit so that you can view it a little bit better. You'll get a sense of how this looks. And there we go. So I'm using WordPress. And this is a post I did yesterday. It's my Wednesday watch list post. And I use a tiny MCE editor. And it allows me to simply enter in the text that I want. I can see what it's going to look like visually. It should show, it shows the video link, but it'll actually show when I preview the page. And I can take a look at the text link. So I've got plugins that allow me to drop a YouTube link in, and it automatically will display on my page, right? So I've got plugins that allow me to do things like that. I can embed things. Also, because I'm using WordPress, I can use a lot of the functionality within WordPress. There's a tool within WordPress called the Jetpack, and it brings a lot of power into my WordPress installation. And I don't have to use as many plugins because a lot of functionality is there. For example, right now I'm just in the process of just trying to determine if my YouTube embed, which is a plugin, is necessary, because my Jetpack does the same thing. And the latest version of the Jetpack, the YouTube embed, is actually working quite well. And at the top of my page, it says a YouTube embed alternate plugin is being used. And right now, because WordPress is continually improving things, I'm able to potentially shift those plugins, right? So in my website, I really focus on a couple of different things that are going to be important. I do posts on a regular basis, weekly basis. At minimum, my posts are Wednesday watch list posts. I've had a very busy last couple of months. I haven't posted as much as I like, but there are times when I post 3 or 4 times a week. And so I control all my posts. I've got 1,379 posts. I got 1,400, but I've got a lot of drafts, right? And so I control all my posts. I add them into different categories. I tag them, and I title them, and I can edit them. So I've got posts, and the posts appear on the main page. Okay, they appear on the main page. There's the post, oops. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry, post is on the main page. And I also have pages on my website. Okay, so I'm going to open up a new tab here, and I'm going to go to my website. So if you take a look at my website, the posts are my blog posts, right, which you can see, and they go up on the main page because I've got my site set up as a blog. And then pages are actually a lot of these things, right? So when I take a look at my learning section, well, these are pages. So when I go into a CSLE plus COVA, well, this is a page. These are all individual pages. And so I combine pages and posts to organize information. The pages are what I use for things that are relatively permanent, that I'm not going to change. And it isn't just something I add each day or each week, right? So these are fixed things, like my learning philosophy, like the CSLE plus COVA, CSLE, all these different things. The DLL content, the DLL principles, what to expect from the DLL, right? So when we go in here, what to expect from the DLL, this is a web page. And in this particular page on my site, I have embedded a video. I've got a short description of what to expect. And then I've got links to additional information, right? So if you want to take a look at what you get from the DLL, you'll see that, again, it's a similar type of page. So what I'm showing you here are the pages and the posts. So I use a combination of pages and posts that allow me to be able to organize and structure information. Some of it is more fixed, doesn't change that often, but it still can change, right? So on this, what you get from the DLL page, I am going to be adding some dates to it because I realize that when students cite my pages and if I don't have a date, put no date on there. So I've been slowly, every time I edit a page, I'll add a new date to it. I've been adding that to the bottom. I'm actually currently looking for a plugin that allows me to add a date to the pages. So there's always an ongoing activity in terms of looking for these sorts of things. So let's look at this page. What do you get from the DLL? Okay, well, on the pages section of my website, if I wanted to edit that, all pages, and I could do a quick search. It's a beautiful, powerful. So what do you get? Hit enter. It'll bring it up. And I'm going to have to, there you go. Here it is. I did a quick search. What do you get from the DLL? I hit enter, and I can edit this page as soon as it comes up. Takes a second or two. And you know what? I'm simply going to do add a revised date. I mentioned I'm going to be adding these dates, so I'll do a quick little revision. So this is August 1, 2019. There we go. And I hit update. I'm going to just have to move this over just a little bit because of the view I have here. Hit the update button, and it will be updated in just a second. And we can take a look at that. What do you get from the DLL? Do a reload of the page. And then you've got the revised date. Great. So I made it an addition. So what I'm pointing out here is all my information is accessible, it's organized, it's structured in such a way to make it easy for people to find it. People can search through it. I have a back end within WordPress that allows me to control a lot of things, edit it in a very, very simple, easy way. I've got a variety of different views. I use an editor called Tiny MCE Editor. I'm going to probably create a separate video to talk about the plugins, specifically for WordPress people. Not everybody's using WordPress, but I want to talk about generally. So you want to be able to view your website in the way that it is going to potentially look, or be able to preview it, and then see it from an editing perspective, right? So again, there are key ideas here. This is my site. I organize it with pages, with posts. I include a specific title. This is my site. I organize it in a way that it makes it easy for you, my user, to find information, even though it's mine. So this is the main idea in this week 3. Organize your information. You own it. While you own it, you also have to think about who's going to use your information. It's your responsibility to do that. Think about your audience. Think about your broad audience. Think about them coming back to your site multiple times. So hopefully these tips have helped, and I'll be putting together another short little video talking about WordPress specific ideas. This is more generic ideas, the structure, the navigation, the way you organize information, who your audience is, but I'll talk a little bit more for the WordPress users who are out there in the group. But right now I think this is where I'm going to end this particular tips video. Hope this helps.